I've always wondered what would happen if you took a cheap £17 driver from Sports Direct, made the steel shaft adjustable, and then put an Epic Flash head on it. It's a very specific thought, but it's a thought nonetheless. Guys, how you doing? Welcome back to a brand new video. It's Simon down here at Burford Golf Lab, and we did a video last week, £100 spent in Sports Direct, and basically I tried to get a full set from driver, rescue, irons, and then I went and tested them on the driving range and gave you my thoughts. So if you haven't checked that video, go and check it out. It's close to 1,000 likes, so thank you to all the support on that video. And actually one of the comments, one of the most liked comments was Daniel Fielding saying he's just got into the game, he's looking for a new set. So Daniel, I will be sending those clubs to you once I finish testing. All I need you to do is reply to that comment with your email address or Insta, and I'll get them shipped out to you. But at the moment, that driver is actually in two because I've taken the shaft out of the driver. I wasn't a big fan of the woods. I thought the woods weren't that great in terms of just wearing and hitting and sounding and feeling. Compared to the irons, I was actually quite a big fan of the irons. But the driver was £17, so what do you expect? The thought process today, however, is I've taken the shaft, that £17 driver shaft, I've made it adjustable, and I've put an Epic Flash head on it. And before we go any further into this epic, extraordinary, and downright stupid video, please leave this video a like and subscribe if you are new. I appreciate it a lot. For any of you that were wondering how difficult it was to get this shaft out of the Slazenger head, it was extremely difficult. Now, if you've seen some of my videos, normally I just use a heat gun, and after about 2 to 5 minutes, I can pretty much just prise it off with pliers. This was a different animal altogether. We had to get the blowtorch out. So Daniel, when you get this driver head, it's going to be slightly discolored, but I will put it back together and it'll be as good as new. But yeah, we had to bring out the big guns to get that off because I was there for ages trying to prise it off. But it's in, it's glued, and it is pretty firm. I don't think that's going to come off. Obviously, I'm going to be I haven't hit this yet. I haven't hit it at all. I'm going to be quite tentative with the first few swings. We're going to build it up. Hopefully the head stays intact and doesn't fly off, otherwise it could be a very expensive video, but then probably quite a successful one as well as that. Now, I got up very early this morning. I'll show you a bit of proof of me getting up early this morning before I started work at 7:30, and I wanted to test the £17 driver, still intact, still glued together, with the shaft, and see what kind of numbers it produced. Now, I did think it was going to launch high and spin a lot because obviously that's what it did on the driving range when I was practicing with it in the last video, and lo and behold, it did exactly that. So I'm going to show you a few swings and I'm going to show you a few numbers. Now, it was very early in the morning, so these weren't the fastest swings in the world, but once I got warmed up, I tried my best to get 170 ball speed. But it was very difficult. Like, I felt like I was still swinging it pretty fast. Obviously, GC2 doesn't measure clubhead speed, so we can't be very accurate with those results. But I know roughly what a 170 ball speed or 180 ball speed with a normal driver feels like, and I felt like I was giving it a lot. So we could say the driver head isn't the best in terms of technology, and you would like to think so, especially if you have spent 400, 300, 500 pounds on a drive in the last 5 years. You would like to think a Sports Direct job lot wouldn't do better than what you've got in your hands already. But in terms of like launch, that's probably the key factor. Now, the shaft is probably one of the biggest things when it comes down to launch, because some of these drives were launching in like 21 degrees launch angle, 19 degrees launch angle, so on and so forth. I tried to hit like down on it, or basically keep my hands ahead of it to stop the ball going so high. I tried to do everything to basically give my best possible distance, and 308 I believe was the longest drive I could produce with that driver. So if I can hit it further now with exactly the same shaft, exactly the same loft in terms of 10.5, but obviously different head, and let's see what kind of results that produces. Okay, so I'm going to hit 10 shots in a row with this combination, mainly to give you idea in terms of like accuracy, what's my dispersion like, because the dispersion wasn't great anyway with the Slazenger steelhead combination, as well as obviously talk to you about distance and how it feels. It feels heavy, we know that, and it'd be interesting to see what numbers it produces straight out the bat. Let's hopefully see if the head stays on. I think that's key throughout this experiment, otherwise it could be a short video. I mean, I've definitely hit that. The sound's just completely different. Like, the Slazenger feels like a tin can, whereas that just feels like a normal head with all the carbon and everything else. 292, first drive, 169 ball speed straight away. Like, I gave it like the long drive treatment earlier this morning. I know it was first thing in the morning, but I was using pretty much everything behind it that I could produce. And I think if I'd used this head this morning, the ball speed would have been a lot higher. So, I mean, again, that goes down to, thank God that some kind of technology goes into these drivers for the price that they are. Casual block there. There's the shot that I always hit. Sounds so much better though. But 400 quid, you'd like to think so, wouldn't you? Have to say, Callaway, the reason I chose the Epic today to obviously test this out, it is my favourite driver head of this year after testing everything, has to be said. These are just normal swings, I'm not really giving it that much. Obviously they're still launching and spinning a bit high. That's high toe, so that should go. That should be 300 yards. He says, and it is 303, 169 ball speed. And spin rate's actually quite consistent already. Around the 3,000 mark, not really jumping into the 4,000, but I think the harder I try and hit this, obviously the further, or the more it's going to spin for sure. Oh, I like the hook today, don't I? I like the hook. Now, normally when you are using a softer flex shaft, it's going to tend to go left because this shaft, a lot of people for some reason, well, it's quite obvious, a lot of people think the shaft bends that way on the way down. In reality, it bends that way because the centre of gravity is here, and obviously as you swing it, it's like a conker on the end of a string. It straightens out that line between the CG. Anyway, softer shaft means that head's going to be pointing more up and more to the left. So if you tend to hook the ball a lot and hit this high left shot with your driver, you probably need a stiffer shaft. If you hit it low and right all the time, you probably need a weaker shaft. That's basically club fitting in 30 seconds. Took me 3 years to learn that in my degree. Okay, right, we're going to hit a dead straight one. Famous last words. Better. Better. I think for the next ones we're going to open it up a bit. We're going to see if we can get it a bit further up there. But in terms of consistency, even though this got exactly the same shaft, and by the way, I'm not a consistent driver of the ball whatsoever, numbers a lot better, distance is a lot better, losing my voice. So I guess that's something. Okay, we're going to start hitting it now. Let's see where it goes. Bottom heel and very spinny. That's where it goes. But forgiving. Can you imagine just rocking up with a steel shaft on the tee with like a really expensive, imagine you get like a PXG driver, just putting a steel shaft in it. Like, yeah, this is what I play. Fighting that left shot with this shaft's tough. Really tough. Now normally with these kind of ball speeds you would see it going further. 173, so that's faster. Obviously definitely edging up there. I think I can get 180. The other thing to note as well, like the more loft, so obviously the softer the shaft, the more that is at impact. So basically the higher your launch angle, the lower the ball speed. Imagine hitting like a wedge, very little ball speed because it basically glides up and doesn't compress. Whereas with a driver, it basically comes through and hits the ball square on, so the ball's got nowhere to escape. So ball speed's always going to be higher if you've got a lower lofted driver. And obviously if you've got a higher lofted driver, ball speed's going to be less as well. Okay, I'm confident the head's going to stay on now. Just spinning too much. Again, I think that's quite high ball speed, but the shaft wise, again, 175 ball speed, which is good. Spin rate 4,000. Thank you for coming. Go on, here we go. Just give it. Again, too much spin. Way too much spin. That thing is going to be checking and stopping all day long. And I think it's really important to note that no matter how much ball speed you produce, with any driver, if it spins too much, you're going to go nowhere. There's no question about it. That spin basically gets up in the air and stops. I'm averaging 3.5, so the harder I hit it, potentially the less it's going to go. So if I hit it slower, less ball speed, but got perfect like spin rate, like 2.5, 2,000, that ball's going to be going for days. Launch angle a lot more consistent though. Launch angle on this, with this driver head now, a lot better. Averaging 14 rather than 19 like we were before. And ball speed obviously higher, but realistically 5 miles an hour. I mean, it's difficult to tell how I'm swinging it now compared to this morning. I'm going to ramp it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Is this the last drive? I did say 10. Go on, I've got to at least hit it past 300 on the last one. High toe shot, give it a bit of something, see where it goes. That is high toe. That is it. That is going to be interesting to see what numbers that produces. Unfortunately, I don't think I kept it straight enough to get anywhere. 169. Right, last drive. This is going to be 180 ball speed, I'm feeling it. 180 ball speed, steel shaft. He actually hit it pretty straight as well. I'm going to say 179 ball speed on that one. To have been absolutely crucified. 176, that's awful. Right, let's recap the video. So what have we found? Somewhere in the world, this cheap £10 shaft with an Epic Flash head will be the perfect combination for you. Don't know who you are, where you are, but there's going to be a swing out there that has a probably erratic tempo and has a medium club head speed that this will produce 14 degrees, 2,000 revs of backspin, and it's just going to be a perfect, efficient driver for them. Now, for you that this isn't the perfect combination, you need to find that combination, and it doesn't have to be a brand new driver head for you to get that. I've just shown you Slazenger that pretty much is just a, well, it's a tin can against one of the best, most advanced driver heads in the world, was probably on average only 6 miles an hour slower in terms of efficiency with my club head speed. But what you are also buying into is somewhat the adjustability, because again that would have increased club head speed if I'd lofted it down. Forgiveness in the head as well, because I hit some heel and toe shots that definitely were saved by this head design rather than that one. Sound, feel, confidence, aesthetics, looks, you name it. The question is, do you want to spend the £400 to get that? Or even better than that, find a driver like this, the Epic, the last one of its kind. Again, would have done just as good. Or let's say Ping, more forgiving, Titleist 915. These kind of heads in the last 5 years are all great heads and would have produced probably similar results with this steel shaft in it. The key thing is finding that right loft and right shaft for you to get those perfect numbers, because the ball doesn't know what it gets hit by. So Daniel, unfortunately I won't be sending you the Epic Flash head, and I will be putting this back together and sending that to you. So obviously get back to me and I'll get that posted to you wherever you live. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Obviously something a bit different, potentially putting an expensive shaft in this head. It could be an expensive video gone wrong. I'll have a look at it. If it gets enough support in the comment section down below, I'll definitely have a look. Guys, thank you ever so much for watching. As always, leave this video a like if you liked it. Subscribe if you're new. Catch you guys later.